girlfriend of a Boston police officer whose body was found
in the murder trial of Karen Reed after the jury said it was unable to
they
reach
will
a
retry
verdict.
Karen Reed
is
after a judge declared
Hi, alternates. We have been so silent as we waited diligently through Verdict Watch for 4 days. But guess what? We have a verdict. It took the jury 21 hours and 7 seconds, but after 4 questions, a false verdict announcement, yeah, I'll talk about that here in a second. Well, the moment is finally here, and we have a verdict. On Wednesday, June 18th, 2025, just after 3 p.m., Karen Reed was acquitted of all of the original 3 charges. Second-degree murder, not guilty. Manslaughter, not guilty. Leaving the scene of an accident, not guilty. She was only convicted of OUI, which stands for operating under the influence. OUI is basically like a DUI. It was a lesser included offense of the manslaughter charge. Yep, with that, let's talk about sentencing. Judge Cannoni asked everybody, like, hey, do you guys want to do sentencing next week? But Brennan quickly chimed in that he was prepared to move forward immediately. The defense agreed, and I was thankful to have proceeded this quickly. With that, Karen Reed was treated as a first-time OUI offender, and she received 1 year probation and has to take like an OUI class. And guess what, alternates? The case of Karen Reed is officially over. Now, I will add that all of the Karen Reed supporters erupted in cheers as the not guilty verdict was read. You can actually watch my live on Instagram at The Alternate Podcast, where I went live to learn the verdict with all of you. And as they were reading it, I literally teared up. I no kidding, got choked up, and I was not expecting it. I think for me, it was a combination of feelings. I mostly felt for John's family, though. Regardless of what you believe happened, now that we have an official verdict, I will say that it would have been really hard to get 12 people to agree that the Commonwealth met their burden of proof during this trial. All right, if you are anything like me, you probably want to see and hear the verdict for yourself. So here is how it played out in court.
Mr. Foreman, on docket number 2282CR117001, murder in the second degree, what say you? Is the defendant at the bar guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
So say you, Mr. Foreman? So say you? No. Do you agree?
Yes.
Do all of you agree?
Yes.
Thank you. 002, what say you? Is the defendant at the bar not guilty or guilty?
Not guilty.
Is not guilty or guilty about that charge or any lesser included charge?
Lesser included.
Thank you. Specifically, number 5, operating under the influence of liquor by operating a motor vehicle with a blood alcohol level of 0.08 or greater. Correct?
Yes.
So say you, Mr. Foreman?
Guilty.
So say you all?
Yes.
003, what say you? Is the defendant at the bar leaving the scene after accident resulting in death? Is the defendant not guilty or guilty?
Not guilty.
So say you, Mr. Foreman?
Yes.
So say you all?
Yes.
Jurors, hearken your verdict as the court records that you upon your oath say the defendant on 001 is not guilty, on 002 is guilty of operating under the influence of liquor, and 003 not guilty. Thank you.
All right, now that the case is over, I am begging you, let me know your thoughts on this case. Do you agree with the verdict? And if not, what specifically don't you agree with? Do you think that there will ever be justice for John? Let me know in the comments wherever you're watching or listening to this. Now, let me backtrack just a little bit because it has been a couple of days. Now, deliberations began on Friday afternoon, but the jury called it an early day that day. Then on Monday, they deliberated all day without a single question. By Tuesday, they returned for deliberations, and on this day, they returned with 3 questions. Question number 1. What is the time frame for the OUI charge? Is it 12:45 a.m. or 5 a.m.? Meaning they were trying to figure out, like, at what time are we trying to say she drove under the influence? Well, Judge Cannoni told them that they were the fact finder and that they could decide however they felt was appropriate. Question 2. Are the video clips of Karen Reed evidence? And if so, how can they be considered? Judge Cannoni told the jurors that the videos were in fact evidence and that they could treat them the same way they treated every other piece of evidence. But then she gave an electronic evidence instruction. In question 3, they asked, does convicting Karen of a surcharge, meaning, like a lesser included offense, mean that she will be convicted of the overall charge? So they were asking, if we convict Karen of a lesser included offense, is she then guilty of the overall charge? This last question actually required a lot of work. The attorneys and the judge, they ended up rewriting the entire verdict slip for charge 2, which was manslaughter, and that also included all of the lesser included offenses. And with that, they gave the jurors all new verdict slips. A little while later, after getting the response for these 3 questions, the jury had a 4th question. If we find not guilty on 2 charges but can't decide on 1 charge, is it a hung jury on all 3 charges or just the 1 charge? Judge Cannoni told the jurors that this was a hypothetical/theoretical question and she couldn't answer that. At 4 p.m., the jury told the judge that they wanted to go home, so they left early for the day. Now, I'm not going to lie, when they left early, I initially thought that they probably had already reached a verdict and that they just wanted to go home and sleep on it. So I was sure on Wednesday we were going to come in, they were going to go into the deliberations room for only 20 to 30 minutes. But guess what? My assumption was wrong. On day 4, the jury returned and they began promptly. It appears that they worked all the way through lunch, and then just after 2:30 p.m., we all got false hope when Judge Cannoni came on the record to give the following information.
All right. I appreciate you all getting back here. During the luncheon break, I received word from a court officer that the jury had knocked on the door, indicating that they had a verdict. But before I could even summons everybody into court, shortly thereafter, they knocked again and said they didn't have a verdict. So I asked the court officer to tell them to put that verdict slip in an envelope and seal it, and to give it to us. Paul, do you have it? Thank you. I haven't seen this. It's been sealed. I'm now going to seal it in the legal sense. So this is sealed. No one will have access to it. It will be preserved and made part of this record. I'm going to ask it to be marked for identification with the word jury, Chrissy, just to keep it separate and apart from everything else. So it's marked for ID with the word jury.
What is going on in this courtroom? I was so pissed and slightly in disbelief when this happened. And as I watched live on Court TV, all of the legal correspondents said that this is the weirdest case that they have ever covered. And they have covered thousands of cases throughout the years. But listen, that false verdict, or whatever we want to call it, it didn't take long right after this until the verdict was actually in. And for this, you can actually go back and watch my live, because I went live on Instagram as I was watching the verdict come in. So at 3:01 p.m., the verdict was read. Cheers erupted outside the courthouse, and you could actually hear them inside the courtroom as a sea of Karen Reed supporters were wearing pink, and they were just outside of the building. And I'm assuming that those cheers erupted because they finally felt that justice was served. Now, John's family was around, but then by the time everything was read, you couldn't really see them anymore. Karen's family was sitting right behind the defense table, and they hugged, of course. And this was all happening simultaneously as Karen Reed hugged her defense team, and then she turned around to hug her own family. Now, she was wearing this powder blue suit, and honestly, I think she was stunned. But here she is walking out of the courtroom. It might be a little hard to hear because everyone is just shouting. Right after Karen made her statement, her father made a statement to the media as well.
I want to acknowledge support of the entire Reed extended family. I want to acknowledge the greatest team of attorneys. Our first one that we found was David Dinetti. We added Alan Jackson and Liza Little. Bob Alessi, you know about. All right? It was a fantastic team, but we needed them all to defeat this. We thank everybody for their support from the heart. We love you all of the content providers who help spread the word. Thank you so much. God bless you all. Should the investigation be reopened?
Oh my goodness, y'all. So to be honest, I'm not sure why I am so emotional about this case or why I was so emotional, but maybe it's just sitting through it all, the anticipation. But really for me, I know that it's the realization that on the other side of this, we have John's family who have cried their eyes out, and we don't know really what happened to John even today. All right, alternates, that is all I have for day 36. And as I close out this trial, from the bottom of my heart and from Tabitha's heart, we just want to say thank you for watching and listening, and really for supporting us on this journey to bring you daily coverage of the Karen Reed retrial. Before you go, be sure to follow the show wherever you watch and listen. This way, you never miss an episode. Even though Karen Reed is over, we are still covering the Diddy trial weekly, and we have so many more upcoming trials. There are actually a few that are going right now, and Tab and I are trying to figure out which one we're going to cover next. If you want to support us further, check out our Patreon at patreon.com/thealternate. There you can listen to bonus content, you can message us, and you can comment on all the crazy things that we say when we are speaking very openly. With that, thank you, alternates. Until next time, think like a juror, decide like one too.